Okay. My headphones say they're at 70%, so hopefully that's the case. Welcome. As always, it is always lovely to have anybody who has joined us here. I know that Kiki's here. I know that Ash dipped because they're not feeling well. Just like a little tiny update before I kind of get started. So I got all excited last time that I streamed because I was like, yay, I have good news finally, right? Maybe right after I streamed, I got good news. And then once again, immediately, like 3 days after I got the good news, it was like yanked away from my precious little paws. So I've been a little stressed out once again. Things are looking fine. Like it's not great, but it's not the worst case scenario. Like I'm fine. I'm just essentially job hunting right now, and it's a bother. So, not a whole lot of energy, not a whole lot of pep in my step. I've got some fun things planned for, writing for dmay, of course. And then I started an original work because I figure I've got all this time, I might as well work on something original, right? Yeah, I know. Sad face emoji for the most part. Yeah, it's like, I'm fine. This is fine. But yeah, I have got the time, so I figure I might as well work on something original. And Kiki, you'll be privy to that when I do my patron exclusive live writes. And I do intend to force myself to do one of those this weekend because writing is hard when I'm feeling icky. And yeah, so it's just emotional ick, but I got to get the gunk off eventually. And sometimes when I force myself to do things, it turns out better than I think it will. And that's actually usually the case, like 75, 80% of the time. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, working on some stuff, potentially doing some freelancing. I have a part-time gig starting soon, so at least I'll have some not passive income, some income coming through the door rather than just bleeding money constantly. But yeah. Is this about the original thing or an that's just let me go ahead and swap over to my window capture. Yay. Can you see that whole screen? Yeah, okay, cool. I'm waiting to see what you have to say to me before I jump into what we're doing for the day. I don't plan on writing today. I wasn't going to force myself to do that. I have to do the corpse project. I need to finish that before I work on dmay again because otherwise that'll suck me back into a chapter. So gonna do that and then I'll do other things. Oh, not more like ooh. Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Tambourine Kit, that's an adorable username. I also don't know that is that how you spell tambourine? That's one of those words that I just don't know how to spell off the top of my head. I forgot it doesn't sound the same in English and in Portuguese. Oh yeah. So it's like what's kind of funny is we've been watching this like Korean fitness challenge show, me and my parents, and my dad's new favorite thing is to go whoa because that's all they do whenever like they do an exciting feat, and I'm like, Dad, stop, please. The more you know. I love learning things. Oh, thanks for the little lesson. But yeah, so hopefully Saturday I'll do that live write for the original work, and that'll be fun. And trying to think. You thought of it yourself? I love that. It's a good little username. But yeah, it's currently on my list of to do, but we know that I've been doing this for like the last 2 weeks. I'll be like, I'm gonna just stream on Saturday, and then I don't. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll actually get my butt in gear and get into like a steady schedule, because I'd like to do like public streams every Wednesday, and then like every Saturday do the patron exclusive streams. But we'll see if I can make that happen. That's how you spell tambourine. Although one of those, yeah, it is one of those words that sounds fake the more you look at it, and the more like you, just any word, I guess, if you say it enough, it starts to sound really fake. But yeah, looking at it, you're like, is that a word? Is that how you spell that word? And now I'm tempted to look at the origin of the word. Hold on. I'm gonna go to Edom Online. My favorite website. Edom Online. I'm gonna look up the origin of tambourine. We're gonna learn something. Okay, let's see. Ooh. Oh, naturally it's French. Fabulous. So, parchment covered hoop with pieces of metal attached used as a drum from 1782. Earlier, a small drum from the 1570s. Apparently from French tambourine, which means long, narrow drum used in Provence. But the modern sense is that of the French. Oh, I'm not even going to try and say that. I don't speak French. Oh, and there's an Arabic form as well from the 1580s. Huh. The more you know. All right, so yes, so today I didn't plan on writing. I hope that none of you are sad about that. And instead I figured we would just get back into the left-right game. I think I may have labeled this stream wrong. I think I put part 3. We're on part 4, but to kind of refresh our brains a little bit and catch us up to where we were at the end of the last section, and like kind of what this whole thing is if you weren't here for it before. So the left right game is a Reddit story on r/nosleep. It's fabulous. I don't do it as much justice as other people have done it in readings in the past, but it is fun to do, so I figure we'll get through at least one part today. And then what has happened so far is we have met our protagonist. Her name is Alice Sharma. She's a journalist, an aspiring, big journalist, and she works for NPR, I believe, and ends up getting kind of hooked on this story that she wants to go and investigate. And she goes down to Arizona, and she meets I've forgotten names already. I think it's Robert. This old guy who has this idea about something called the left-right game. I'm going to turn this down. Hold on. Okay. It's probably not loud for you guys, but it's loud for me. Yes, heteronormy town. I remember. So essentially what happens is in this game, you take a left, and then you take the most immediate right, you take a left, and the next left, and the next right, and so on, right? And eventually it's supposed to lead you somewhere. In this particular story, it leads them kind of like to this weird parallel world to our own. It's like a dimension that we're really not sure what it is yet, because they've not been here for very long. Things to note. They are in like a caravan of multiple people. Some of them are investigators for the paranormal. Some of them are just like interested, and we're on the forum where the left right game got originally posted, which is, one of the reasons that Alice Sharma's there, is to investigate, see if this is a hoax or not. And essentially, the creepy things that have happened is we've had our hitchhiker, our kind of phantom hitchhiker, who even if you don't pick him up, you'll still remember pulling over and picking him up. You're not supposed to talk to him, or we don't know what will happen, and all of that fun stuff. And then the most creepy thing that we've come across is the, as Kiki said, the heteronormy town, the little Stepford village, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And in this kind of perfect picturesque town, they drive through, everything seems kind of okay. It's a little kind of abandoned almost, but then they soon find that everybody is out on their front lawns eating. And they're just having a meal, and it's all of these same families, right? And it's a husband, a wife, and a boy and a girl, right? And they're all the same. It's like very cookie cutter, very Stepford. And they are leaving this town when someone intentionally has cut down a tree and kind of like tries to block their path and crash them. And what ends up happening is they go around the tree, but unfortunately, the person at the tail end, Ace, who has kind of not a beef, but not a super great relationship with our guy who's escorting us, the ferryman, Robert. And he ends up not making it all the way around. And these two dudes from the town show up in a tow truck, and they take him and they hook the tow truck hook through his jaw, and they drag him back to the town. And we didn't see what happens to him after that because we're from Alice Sharma's point of view, but we are assuming that he has died. Okay. And that was kind of where we left off last time. I hope that summarizes everything. I don't think I'm missing any really important bits. Oh, yes, actually. During the part where they were with the hitchhiker, Alice sees a car parked to the side of the road. And in that car, it turns out there is it's all burnt out, and there's a bag full of C4. And these two girls who are paranormal YouTubers, they pulled over and they got this stuff after Alice radios them to be like, hey, get some footage of this, and instead they fully pull over and get stuff out of the car. And so now Alice Sharma has this C4 with her. We're not sure what it is, where it's from, but we do know it's a little suspect. Yeah, no, it was a very, very kind of graphic scene, and it's the first time that things really get intense. Aw, don't be mean to Ace, poor kid. I mean, he was kind of stupid. He didn't come prepared. But you can say that part of the reason why he got caught is because Blue Jay, the person who was driving in front of him, really took her time going around. So you talk like those crypto dude bros. That's because I made him talk that way. Yeah, a hook through the face is not fun. Every time I think about it, I think of Hot Fuzz. And the scene at the end where the guy who's kind of behind all of the ickiness falls on the miniature of the town and gets impaled through the lower jaw and chin by the roof of the tower. That's a great movie, by the way. That's a comfort movie for me. Highly recommend Hot Fuzz if you haven't seen it, although I did just spoil it a little. All right. I think that's all of the details. I guess the last one was that before they make the turn into this parallel world where this tunnel kind of appears, it's just a normal tunnel, but it's not normally there unless you do the turning before you get to it. Point is that on that corner there's a lady in gray, and she essentially kind of loses it on them and is like, how dare you, what are you doing here? And she says some pretty cryptic stuff that is very hard to understand, but makes a lot of sense later. Okay? Blue Jay single-handedly maintaining the stereotype that women can't drive. Curse you, Blue Jay! Why are you like this? Okay. Alright, let's jump into part 4. Hey guys, firstly, I want to apologize for not being at my laptop for the past few days. Sorry, not weeks, although for us it's a few weeks. I had to attend a wedding in Scotland for one of my uni friends. They booked it in midweek, and between you and me, I don't think it's going to last, which means not only have I neglected you guys, but I've also wasted money on a rental suit and a John Lewis tea set. As always, thank you for your help in my ongoing attempt to find Alice. I'm now in full contact with the radio show she was working for, and they'll be sending over Rob's submission to the show as soon as they can. I've also looked up every town named Jubilation and have contacted residents from each of them. None of them have the particular junction mentioned in the previous log, Sycamore Row and Acer Street. I even combed Google Maps to make sure I'm not sure what town Alice passed through last February, but it doesn't seem to exist on public record. The guy who promised to retrace the route from the mirror shop came through and has sent me a few possible addresses for Rob. He also mentioned looking into the game itself more. I'm not sure what he means by that, but I want to be clear. Please don't play this game on my behalf. I don't want that on my conscience. Okay, without further ado, here's the following log. Thanks again. The left-right game, draft 1, 10/02/2017. And it's February, not October, because Alice is also British. She's English, so she writes dates that way, unlike us silly little Americans. Okay. Possible opening. I want to address you, the listener, for a moment with an advance notice concerning the following episode. I'm sure it's not been lost on you that every installment of the series so far has played host to some strange, unexplainable occurrence and spanned a great many miles of travel. It goes without saying this has been by design. I've been summarizing the countless hours of uneventful meandering and taking extra care to document the strange phenomena we've encountered along the way. I wanted the story to be fast-moving, to have a real feel of progress with every chapter. If that sense of exploratory intrigue is why you're listening to this show, I completely understand. I'm certain it's a primary draw for almost all of you. The twists, the turns, the mysterious, strange encounters along an impossible road. But if that is the case, I feel it's my duty to inform you that, apart from a few notable exceptions, there will be almost no ground covered in this segment, and the monsters we encounter will be all too human: stress, divisiveness, discomfort, and, as one might imagine, grief. If you want to read the synopsis of this episode on the website and wait for the next part, then you'll be all caught up, and I'm sure we'll be back on our way, heading once more into the great unknown. But I feel it's important to give the aftermath of Ace's capture its own episode, in part due to the significance of the revelations that are unearthed in its wake, but also as a gesture of deference to the man we lost. This is the story of our second night on the road. As we make the left turn, the horrifying space behind us is quickly replaced by a quiet emptiness ahead. The Wrangler crawls, defeated, toward the waiting convoy. The remaining 4 cars are parked haphazardly, taking up more than half the road. Rob drifts to the far end of the tarmac, looking to overtake and resume formation. Both of his hands rest on the steering wheel, his eyes fixed on some distant point in space. It's not hard to imagine that behind the focus and the quiet control, there's a man in turmoil, a man who can't bring himself to say anything in fear of saying too much. This is Bristol to all cars. We're heading back on the road. Get yourselves in formation and make way for those around you. We've got a while to drive before we stop for the night. Bristol, where's Ferryman? Ferryman's here. Where's Ace? Ace didn't make it across. What? What the fuck? Bristol, where is he? It would be simple to describe what had taken place, or at least summarize the barest facts. What happened to Ace, where he is now, why he isn't coming back. But for some reason, I can't utter a word about what's transpired. Something about the event itself makes it impossible to retell, as if the requisite phrases had been locked behind glass. We need to get to the stopping point. It isn't safe to stay here. Shortly after we'd turned the corner out of Sycamore Row, Rob implied that the rest of the day's drive would be uneventful. Had he waited just a few minutes longer, he would have been entirely correct. We're on the road for another 4 hours, both of us quietly attending to our own preoccupations as the forest gradually thins out. The landscape gives way to rolling cornfields that stretch out beyond the horizon on both sides. Nothing notable happens. Oh, hold on. Trying to fix the way that this is set up. Nope. There we go. Now I can see the chat. Okay. Nothing notable happens, which is ironic as I find myself typing up a lot more notes than I need. With the sun... It's either with the sun descending through or when the sun descends through. Either way, there's a typo there. When the sun descends through an orange sky as we pull into a clearing beside a wild grove of apple trees. Yeah, I think with the sun descending through. Eh, that's a hard sentence. It's a hard sentence for me to parse. Hold on. With the sun descends through the orange skies, we pull into a clearing. No, this sentence is just structured bad. That's okay. It's a really good story, so who cares about typos? Rob turns off the ignition, and the two of us sit in silence. Rob's need to concentrate on driving had been a good excuse to stay quiet, a good excuse to not face each other. Now the wheels aren't turning, however, and the true reason for our mutual reticence is all too clear. Do you think he's dead? I don't know. Rob's response isn't reassuring, and I'm oddly grateful for that. There are no comforting words he can give me, and any attempt would have seemed horrifically insincere, a mockery of the situation's onerous gravity. Anyway, given the circumstances of Ace's capture, I'm not even sure which answer I want to hear. Lilith appears at my window, rapping her knuckles against the glass with an aggressive impatience. I'd expect nothing less about now. Everyone in the convoy has been made to follow a unilateral order, my order, without explanation. They've been traveling for hours, accompanied by the glaring absence of another human being. Looking in the wing mirror, I glimpse the rest of the convoy, standing by their cars, watching the Wrangler expectantly. Rob's hands still haven't left the wheel. With a sharp intake of breath, I push the door open and step out onto the grass. The ground is soft below me as I walk over to the group. There's recently been rain. I begin to address the rough semicircle. It almost feels like one of Rob's briefings. What's happening, Bristol? Did Ace turn back? I meet Apollo's eyes. For the briefest of moments, I consider telling them all exactly that. Maybe it would save them from the slow, heavy ache that's currently weighing down my chest. Maybe it would save me from a difficult conversation. Either way, I know I can't lie to them. They deserve the truth, however unpleasant. No, he didn't turn back. They crippled his car. The tow truck? Did he get out? The answer doesn't come easily. I'm being pressed to say the words aloud and, in doing so, to fully acknowledge what happened. It feels like I'm being driven to a funeral, like I'm being verbally marched towards an open casket. What happened to him? Bristol? He's dead, Eve. I hadn't heard Rob step out of the car when he reaches the group. It's hard to hide my relief as he takes over proceedings, addressing the group matter-of-factly. Now it really is like one of his briefings. 2 guys in the tow truck coming out of jubilation. They got him. They took him back with them to the town. The way they were treating him, he won't last long. Oh, goodness. What? Rob, what do you think they're going to do to him? I can't tell you. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Well, we need to go back. That ain't going to happen. We're not going to fucking abandon him. Lilith, we're going back. No, we're not. Me and Rob can go. You know the place, right, Rob? The kid's dead, Apollo. He was alive when you last saw him? That's right. So at what point did you decide he was dead? When I saw him being carried away with a fucking tow hook sticking out of his mouth, goddammit. Rob shouldn't have said that. I understand his reasons, of course. He wants to convey an important truth, that nothing can be done or could have been done to save Ace. His ghastly choice of words does that job, but it also sends a ripple of disturbance through the crowd, planting in everyone's minds the gruesome image I've been trying all day to uproot. Bonnie covers her mouth in shock and sorrow. Eve turns noticeably pale, and even Lilith, who is intent on leading the questioning, is taken aback. Did you see this, Bristol? I nod solemnly. The group bristles at my affirmation. I saw enough. I had to close my eyes when it happened. Rob tried to save him until... Before I can finish my statement, my words are cut off by something truly unexpected. In spontaneous response to my words, a harsh outburst of mocking, sarcastic laughter rings out from within the convoy. One by one, we turn toward its source, until we all find ourselves staring at Blue Jay. Her unapologetic chuckling fills the silent night air. Is something funny, Blue Jay? Blue Jay tries to speak through her all through sorry. Blue Jay tries to speak through her all too slowly waning laughter. It's just you call yourself a journalist. You closed your eyes, my God. There it is. There it is. I'm sorry? Do you close your eyes for magic tricks too? What the fuck, Blue Jay? Come on, this isn't the time. Oh, the time is well fucking overdue. Seriously, are you all morons? The left-right game is a hoax. It's fake. Rob Guthard played you all like fucking children. Ace is fine. He's probably an actor. Like the hitchhiker was an actor, and those townspeople too. I mean, come on. The group is taken aback by Blue Jay's incredulous tirade. Goodness, I am struggling today. Ugh. The group is taken aback by Blue Jay's incredulous tirade. She's clearly been holding her tongue since day one. Our reaction to Ace's capture representing just one step too far. I saw Rob shoot one of those townspeople with a hunting rifle. I saw the wound. It was real. It was a blood-filled squib. The rifle was probably loaded with blanks. You can buy both from any good theatrical retailer. Seriously, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Okay, firstly, I don't like your fucking tone. Secondly, have you noticed that we've been the only cars on this road for almost 2 days? And what about jubilation? Are you suggesting Rob hired out a whole town? That would be fucking impossible. Oh yeah, sure, that's impossible. But it's totally believable that we're driving on a magic road. Maybe this is the highest budget scam I've ever seen, but that's all it is, a scam. And Al Jazeera here is giving him all the publicity he wants. I mean, these people are sheep, but you are a fucking sycophant. My mother used to tell me that you can't strike a person from the high road. Staring down the barrel of Blue Jay's darkly self-satisfied grin, I'm more than tempted to make the descent. Okay, Blue Jay, fair enough. I'm not going to pretend to know what's going on here. For all I know, you could be right. But why would Rob spend the production budget of a Hollywood film to trick a radio journalist and 2 vloggers? Trust me, our website does not get enough traffic for... Oh, don't be so self-important. It's not you he's trying to fool. Blue Jay turns to Rob, fixing him a glare of pure, unadulterated triumph. Admit it, Rob. Admit that this is all a fucking farce. Admit that you knew who I was before I even got out of my car. Rob's face looks like it's been carved from granite. The group looks to him for an answer, but he delivers his response directly to Blue Jay, his eyes locked with hers. It's true. I know who you are, Denise. The atmosphere changes for a moment. Hold on. Oh, yeah, sorry. Glitching. Okay, sorry. The atmosphere changes, and for a moment, the night erupts into a foray of whispers. Rob's answer clearly means something to everyone but me. Denise? Denise Carver? No. You serious? Sorry, who's Denise Carver? She's the biggest killjoy in the hobby. Oh, fuck you, you fucking airhead. Denise here is a member of the Skeptics and Rationalists Institute of America. She likes to get herself invited on ghost hunting expeditions under a false name so she can debunk them publicly. You may have gathered she don't believe in the supernatural. Actually, I do believe in the supernatural. I believe that it's a billion-dollar industry built on selling comfortable lies to the gullible, and it thrives on shitty journalists and attention whore bloggers who are willing to spread whatever shit they think will get them clicks. That's why you took so long getting around the pine tree. Even when the truck was coming for Ace, you didn't think any of it was real. Did you? As condescending as her delivery may be, her words spark a sudden realization. It's true it's true that with an unspeakably high budget and a few deft stooges, you could probably replicate most of what we'd seen on the road. Yet, without realizing it, I found myself agreeing with Rob's version of events, personally defending the left-right game's validity against its decriers. I'd set off on this journey much like Blue Jay, as a staunch, confident skeptic, but somewhere between the tunnel and this moment, I'd become a believer. Blue Jay notes my lack of protest and turns back to Rob. I'm flattered you went to all this trouble. I didn't know my work was so offensive to you. I admire your work, Denise. Always have. That's why I brought you along. That is bullshit. Tell your friend Ace he can't act for shit. Blue Jay pulls a pack of Marlboros. I always struggle to say that word. Cigarettes. Blue Jay pulls a pack of cigarettes out of her coat, lighting up. Yeah, no, Blue Jay sucks balls. You're gonna hate her even more. Don't worry, she just gets worse. Her demeanor clearly signals that her part in the conversation. Oh, wait, no, I skipped the rest of that sentence. Blue Jay pulls a pack of cigarettes out of her coat, lighting up immediately, and goes to sit on the hood of her nearby car. Her demeanor clearly signals that her part in the conversation is over, though her words leave a bitter aftertaste for everyone involved. To sympathize, it must be exhausting, spending 2 days with people whose opinions are diametrically opposed to your own, having to listen in silence while they corroborate their own seemingly preposterous views. Goodness. Having said that, however, I'm incredibly glad she stopped talking. It reminds me of a time when we got on much better. The next question comes from Eve, her voice quivering. Can we die here, Rob? The quiet force of her words turn everyone's heads back towards Rob. It's clear that others have been thinking the same thing, and they're looking to Rob for an answer. It's possible. The road ain't ever killed no one before, not so long as everyone followed the rules. But you said in your emails it was dangerous. That's right. But you didn't feel like telling us that we could die out here? Rob turns to Lilith, clearly offended by her accusation. In the 1920s, John Ebenroe killed 36 people and violated their bodies. In one of your videos, you guys went to his home in Virginia looking for the man's ghost. Bonnie and Clyde once spent $500 to stay at the Iowa Murder House, a place that's supposed to possess its victims and force them to kill each other. If you all honestly believed in what you were chasing, you should be accepting death as an outcome every time you step out. We are looking for evidence of another world. What we're doing here has the scientific significance of the moon landings, the cultural significance of Columbus reaching the Americas, and a whole lot of people died doing both. If you accepted the risk chasing down the ghost of a 2-bit serial killer, you should be willing to accept the risk for this. Lilith looks like she's been scolded by a parent. There's a fire in her eyes as she observes Rob, meeting his criticism with scorn. Oh, so it's Ace's fault? He should have accepted the risk? He did accept the risk. Ace made his decisions. He saw the dangers of the road firsthand, and he kept on going. I told you this place could be dangerous, and maybe you didn't take that seriously, but you are not going to treat me like I lured any of you out here under false pretenses. We stand for a few moments in the uncomfortable void left by Rob's words. No one's quite sure where to look. Well, what do we do now, Rob? Do we turn around? I ain't gonna make that decision for you. If you want to split off and head back, I suggest you wait till morning and stagger your leaving time by an hour or so. I never seen nothing like what happened back there before, but this is the most people I ever played the game with. Maybe that's doing something. What do you mean by that? Well, it's the only thing that's changed. Truth is, this ain't our world. By all rights, we shouldn't be here. Even when it's one car, the road always tries to discourage you. Maybe it's like bacteria in a vein. One or two might slip by unnoticed, but once it hits a certain point, it's like an immune response. You think the road's pushing back on foreign objects. And the bigger the group, the more violent the response. It makes sense, until Blue Jay laughs once more. Hearing her reaction, I reassess what I'm saying and can't help but feel a little foolish at the idea. Maybe. It's just a theory. I don't know. Rob collects himself, regaining his composure. Either way, you all have the morning to decide if you want to keep on the road. Bristol, if you want to go home, you got to find somebody to take you. I ain't ready to head back yet. He turns away from the group and marches to the Wrangler. I don't see him again for the rest of the evening, and I have no intention of bothering him. Eve and Lilith immediately crowd around me, asking if I'm all right and taking it in turns to disparage Rob's actions. I can't bring myself to join in. All I can bring myself to say is, "Can I charge my phone in your car?" The group has very little to say for the rest of the night. A deep solemnity hangs in the air, dampening any semblance of good cheer like wet leaves on a dwindling fire. No one offers any conversation. Apollo's reservoir of quips has run dry. Everyone's wondering where they'll be going from here, pondering the sort of person they are in circumstances such as this. Do they press on towards danger, or back towards safe and familiar ground? It's a question they'll have to figure out for themselves, ideally before sunrise. I already have questions of my own. About an hour after Rob's departure, bidding farewell to the rest of the group, I walk over to Lilith and Eve in Eve's car. My bag is resting on the front seat, a black wire leading inside from the charging port. I've decided not to tell the pair that I've been charging the detonator for a military-grade explosive less than 10 meters away from them. Perhaps it will come out during broadcast. If you're listening to this, sorry girls. I pick up my bag and, checking that no one's looking, make a beeline for the apple grove. I march through the small wood, the air growing still, the sounds of the convoy quickly fading behind me. In the late evening darkness, with the moon shrouded by a legion of crooked trees, I'm puzzled that I'm not more afraid. I've seen what happens on this road, and as I pass through the grove and into the neighboring field, intentionally isolating myself from the rest of the group, I'm quite aware that help won't be coming for me. Even so, as the corn rises up in every direction around me, I find myself almost incapable of fear. The day's events have drained me of emotion, and I'm now with everything else pulled away. I'm left with only one driving directive, an overpowering urge to figure this road out, regardless of what that entails. Judging the distance I've traveled to be acceptably out of range from the convoy, I take the block of C4 out of my bag and place it on the ground. Gritting my teeth, my body cringing with self-inflicted dread, I press the power button on the Nokia and wait for something to happen. My worries of instant disintegration are allayed slightly as the grainy image of 2 outstretched hands comes into view, swiftly replaced by a menu screen. I work fast, the words on the brown paper package constantly reminding me of what I'm putting at risk with every passing second. Firstly, I type my number. Own number? Okay, yep, that's another little typo. That's okay. Firstly, I type my own number into the phone, assuming, or at least hoping, that the mechanism isn't activated by outgoing calls. A few seconds later, my cell phone rings, giving me the Nokia's number. Checking the call logs, I find a second, different number, which seems to have made a call to the phone 3 times in quick succession. If I were a betting woman, which I sometimes am, I'd suggest that this number belongs to whoever built the bomb, the calls representing an attempt to test the trigger prior to its implementation. If I'm right, then this should be the personal number of whoever was driving that crashed car. My third discovery is a little more puzzling. No texts have been sent from this phone. However, there is one solitary message residing in the phone's inbox. It's from a third separate number, and it reads thus: "Please don't do this, Rob." I stare at those 4 words, the new information grating uncomfortably against my already preconceived theories. If this text is to be believed and my previous deductions are at all accurate, then that means Rob Guthard was driving the car, that the C4 in the trunk had belonged to him. All this time, I thought Rob may have been responsible for something terrible, but what if he was run off the road himself? If that is the case, it leads to an entirely new question. Who was responsible for his crash? As I begin to think it over, the air explodes around me. I'm jolted out of my examination by a powerful, echoing voice which reverberates the very air. The corn is thrown into a frenzy as the noise echoes from every direction, as if spoken by the air itself. I've watched you questioning. Without a second's hesitation, I turn off the Nokia and throw the block into my bag. I jump to my feet and scan the cornfield for whoever spoke the words, backing away towards the convoy. Suddenly realizing how far I am from my friends, I break into a run, my boots pounding the dirt as I flee back to the woods. Less than a minute later, I burst out through the trees, my bag swinging with the weight of the block. Everyone's in their cars, seemingly fast asleep. I'm starting to think they're on to something. With no one to talk to and a long day ahead of me, I suppose there's no further recourse but to catch my breath, write up my immediate thoughts, and then, finally, get some much-needed rest. I feel a dull pressure behind my eyes as I step towards the Wrangler, quietly opening the back door next to my sleeping area. I carefully hide the block under my luggage. Then, silently closing the door again, I wander around to the passenger side where my notes are waiting to be typed. I reach out and grab the handle, gripping it tightly. I don't open the door. In fact, after a moment staring through the glass, I let go. The pressure behind my eyes gives way, and before I know it, I've slid down to the damp ground, my back against the cool, hard metal of the door. A whine catches in my throat as ugly tears stream down my cheeks. My breath shudders as I inhale, and my attempt to breathe out plays to the world as a quiet, declining sob. The tears take me by surprise, but I don't wipe them away. In a bittersweet way, they're welcome, necessary even. They carry with them a familiar sense of heart-rending release. By the time they've run dry, I feel like I might just be able to move on from the events of the day. The sounds in my head are just a little quieter now I've paid them their due. Are you okay, honey? I'm picking myself up when I see Bonnie walking carefully over to the Wrangler. I brush myself off, a little embarrassed at being caught. I didn't know you were awake. I'm a light sleeper, and Martin, Clyde, snores. Do you need somebody to talk to? I think I just need to sleep. Thanks, Bonnie. My name's Linda, if you're wondering. Alice. That's a beautiful name. Well, Alice, I know I don't talk much, but I know how to listen, if you ever want me to. For the first time since the pine fell, I find myself smiling. It's a weak smile, but a smile nonetheless. Thank you, Linda. I might take you up on that. Have a good night. Have a good night. Bonnie starts to walk back to the car before pausing and turning round. One last piece of comfort to offer. And remember, everything will be all right once we get to Wintery Bay. I frown a little, unsure what Bonnie means. She smiles back blankly, then resumes the path back to her car. She's mentioned that place before, upon leaving Jubilation, in what seemed like a moment of idle reminiscence. How she mentioned it just now doesn't seem like reminiscence at all. After everything that's gone on, all the suspicion I've been directing at Rob, all my worry for Ace, is something the matter with Bonnie? Perhaps I'm misunderstanding. Perhaps Bonnie misspoke. But all the same, the brief comfort her words afforded me has already faded away, leaving a familiar feeling of confusion and paranoia in its place. I let myself into the passenger side, type up a few pressing notes, and then climb through onto the air mattress. Sleep doesn't come easily. I close my eyes and try to convince myself that tomorrow will be better than this harrowing day. Yet every time I make that particular argument, a voice in my head responds. That may depend on which way you turn. And that's the end of part 4 of the left-right game. Round of applause. And Tippy Toe is correct. It's like the best no sleep story ever. Um, yeah, so that's part 4. It's just kind of, the aftermath of Ace getting caught and kind of revealing who Blue Jay is, and then tension just gets worse and worse, I assure you. Um, I would go on to read part 5, but I'm struggling already today. So I think maybe if you are interested, I know Kiki, you're like the only one who has asked me for it. But either way, if you would like me to continue reading these out loud, I would be happy to do so. Maybe I'll do another one. Polite golf clap all around. Everyone is so sus. Yes. Everybody is sus. It's such a good story. Like it's again, it's one of my favorites. I'm pretty sure I read it as it was coming out. Most certainly, like once part 7 had been out, because I remember like waiting. But yeah, it's good. Mwah. Beautiful, beautiful. I would love to read like the rest of this. Honestly, it's really good. So if you guys are interested, I'd be happy to do this again next Wednesday. Even if I do a live write beforehand, I will still read part 5 as well. But that means you have to wait a week for another chapter. So I'm sorry. Unless you want to go ahead and read it ahead of you. No, I like it. I like reading out loud. And it's fun to do the voices, even though I'm not that great with them today. They were all kind of blending together. And Lilith and Eve basically sound the exact same. They're both just Valley girls. But yeah, I would love to keep reading if you are interested. Just let me know. And yeah, this was nice. Yay! Okay, so we'll do it next Wednesday. So we'll do part 5 next Wednesday, maybe part 5 and part 6. It just depends on if part 5 is the part that I'm thinking it is. Because if it is, I cried the last time I read it. If it is the part I'm thinking about. But we'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But yeah, I would love to do live write for dmay next time and get another part read. And then this weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, I would love to do a patron exclusive live write for the original work I'm working on. I can show you. If you are a patron, you've already seen this little prologue sneaky peeky. But this is it. Yeah, no, I cried a couple of times during this whole story. Not this, but the left right game. Not my stuff. This stuff is not cryable yet. but during the left right game for sure. But no, this is the original thing that I'm working on, and yeah, it's silly. But there's gonna be pretty ladies and they're gonna smooch and it's gonna be awesome. There's also gonna be some handsome gentlemen that smooch, so that's fabulous too. And some ladies that smooch gentlemen. It's just there's gonna be a lot of smooching, is what I'm trying to say here. We're going smooch heavy for this particular story. Nah, I'm just messing around. But yeah, that's the plan. And if I can keep that consistently on schedule, that would be awesome. I think both for me and for you guys. So yeah. Thank you, Tamarine Kit, little Kit, and Kiki, my little Kiki kids. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for hanging out with me, and anybody else who has dropped by or will drop by. You're fabulous. I'm going to go make dinner and potentially eat raw cookie dough. So, yeah. I hope you guys have a lovely evening. Waiting for the goodbyes before I log out because I know that there's a delay. There always is. The delay! I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yay! Sending all of the hearts. All the hearts. Okay. I will have a nice dinner. I hope it's not too late for you there. But yeah, toodles, love ya, smooches. Mwah.